Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Fittipaldi, of course, 93.7 The Fan with Mr. Ron Cook every single day. He's going national, coast to coast. CBS Sports coming up on Sunday from our Intercom Communications Studios, all about championship weekend. And, of course, both games on 93.7 The Fan, Westwood One Radio. The AFC title game begins at 2, of course. It's New England taking on Jacksonville.
3.
I know, but your coverage starts at 2.
Look at you. You know our schedule better than I do.
No, that's only because, well, that's my issue. I'm a guy about details. Also, you've got 6:15. The coverage will begin immediately after that one of the NFC Championship game. Lincoln Financial Field, Philadelphia, taking on, will they even have a chance to get by Minnesota? I think Case Keenum, it's a Cinderella story. It's meant to be. It's fate. They're going to play Super Bowl 52 in Minnesota. But let's begin. The point spread is now 7.5 because of Brady's bum thumb on that hand that was actually hit accidentally by a teammate. So,
James Harrison?
Really?
No, I don't know. I just threw that out there. How about that? That would be an unbelievable story, wouldn't it?
Well, after Leonard Fournette's car gets rear-ended by a Pennsylvania Steelers fan. But talk about that. I mean, do you think that's much to do about anything? And I know
Fournette's car accident?
No. Talking. I mean, Brady's fine, but yeah, he's fine. I just find it hard to believe, and I know Jacksonville really showed me a lot, especially with their run game, and Fournette and Blake Bortles seems to be getting better, and they've got an incredible pass rush. But I just can't see anybody, 7.5, 9.5, whatever the spread is, stopping Tom Brady.
Well, after that defense went out and gave up 42 points to the Steelers on Sunday, it's easier to picture a really good offense like a Brady-led offense scoring points on them. It's harder for me to comprehend us seeing a repeat or a duplicate performance of what Bortles did against the Steelers defense. If you go back and look, the last 2 times Brady has lost home playoff games, he's lost 3. The last 2 times he's lost at home were to the Ravens and the Jets. Joe Flacco threw 3 touchdown passes. Mark Sanchez threw 3 touchdown passes. So that tells me you're going to win there. Your quarterback doesn't need to throw for a lot of yards, but he needs to score touchdowns instead of field goals, and he can't turn the ball over. And I don't trust against that defense, which is not a really talented defense. Don't get me wrong, New England has its issues defensively, but their details are outstanding. They're such a sharp, focused team. They won't make the mistakes on defense that the Steelers did, and therefore I don't think Bortles will have the type of day that he needs to have in order to win that game.
All right, just real quick, Steelers. What's this about Le'Veon Bell being late?
What about it?
Talk
well, I just think that it to me was an entire week of him. I'm almost
no franchise.
It just leaves me wondering now as I think about this more and more. The motivation behind everything that he did this week, from saying if you put the franchise tag on me again, I'm going to retire, to predicting a game against New England before it even happens, to not showing up to practice, to showing up for a game late. And is he trying to get himself out of here? You know, you look at what LeGarrette Blount did. You look at what Martavis Bryant tried to do. I thought he played outstanding on Sunday, but, the things that you do, the professionalism, the focus, the mindset, it wasn't there from him this week. And, discipline's a big issue with this team right now, and when your best players set that kind of example, I don't think that's good for a football team.
All right, let's fast forward now. And I was once saying without Carson Wentz they were done, but he really came up with some big drives late.
Foles.
Yep, and Elliott had the 3 big field goals, especially.
You watched that game?
A little bit of it.
You're still into it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Well,
okay.
I'm a big fan of Philadelphia and Minnesota and
really?
Atlanta. I like the NFC. I grew up on it, man. CBS television.
Okay.
Summerall, Brookshire.
Yeah, of course.
And Ron Jaworski out of Youngstown State. Ron Poe James from New Brighton, my hometown. Mm-hmm. So Monday Night Football, Howard Cosell, all good. But let's face it, they won. Okay, yep. And they're now playing Minnesota. But man, what a ride Case Keenum has had. Explain how that happened.
Oof, it's hard because I watched a guy come in here the second week of the season with Minnesota after Bradford got injured, and I wouldn't have, if you had told me after that Sunday that the Vikings were going to, behind Case Keenum, advance deeper in the playoffs than Steelers, I would have been completely stunned by that. Well, let's start with what they're good at. Their defense is awesome on all 3 levels. defensive line, linebackers, safeties. So he's got a safety net. They play complementary football.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Keenum is not your classic game manager. He's trying to make plays. He's a guy that gets outside the pocket. He'll throw up some 50-50 balls. He'll do some questionable things. Risk-reward factor high with him, both ends. But he's got a defense that can bail him out. You know, he's got a. I would say this about their defense. You know, that interception that Roethlisberger throws early in the Jacksonville game. You know, if Keenum makes a play like that against Philadelphia, I expect Minnesota's defense to take the field, hold the other team to 3 points. You know, that's what they've done all year. So we saw it in the last play. I mean, he can make those types of plays. Just a matter in this game for me, because Philadelphia's got a really good defense too. And they're going to take the run away from Minnesota. Is Keenum going to do enough things through the air? Now Thielen's hurt. He's questionable. So I know Philadelphia is the underdog, but...
Are you a Stephon Diggs believer?
In him is what?
A wide receiver?
Yeah, I know. I
don't think he ever reached his potential,
Well,
but man, he sure showed some of it last week.
Sure, I don't think that he's not Antonio Brown. He's not Julio Jones. He's not Odell Beckham. He's not DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, he's not in that tier one.
Doesn't have that gear
of NFL wide receivers. I don't think he has the size either. I think the size is really, you know, Antonio Brown is one of the few wide receivers of that stature that can do everything. Diggs is a big playmaker. And when the season started, I think Minnesota wanted to be run.
Mm-hmm.
Cook gets injured, and they've changed their offense around. I mean, they changed, and you almost never see this. Their offensive line, they took all 5 starters from last year, got rid of them, 5 new starters, and they've been great. I mean, that was a bold move by them, and it's paid off.
You're always great. I don't like to bother you that much because you're going in so many different directions. How you really enjoyed? Because I'm in the other studio doing our local thing on News Radio 1020 KDK, and I sometimes I wish I could eavesdrop.
Poke me.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a lot of street cred, and you're doing well for yourself, young man. Soon to be how old now? Birthday coming up?
40.
That's still so young.
No, I'm kidding.
I was gonna say if you're
32.
40, oh my goodness, 32.
Yeah. Remember where you were 32?
Yeah.
What were you doing?
You want fries with that shake? Pull around in the
No,
front
you
window.
were not.
No, I was doing something. I was here.
You were here.
Yeah. But listen.
How many years in radio for you now?
Well, close to 40. 30, about 31 here.
You get a watch for that, or
listen, I get to hang out with you. And you get to work with Ron Cook, my hero.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, for forever.
Have you told him that?
I try to talk to him, but
What's he say?
he's busy. You know, he's a busy guy. But anyway, he's really talented, and he was doing this sports talk thing many years ago on News Radio 1020 KDK on Saturdays. That was absolutely awesome. So it's a perfect fit. You guys do a great job, the yin and the yang. But what's the national audience talking about in football? I mean, after that Steelers gig, have you been back on since they lost to Jacksonville?
What? So you're asking what's
national?
The national conversation?
The Steeler Nation's everywhere.
I got to be honest. I think a lot of it is a lot of what we're talking about is what they're talking about. You know, Mike Tomlin's shortcomings in that game against Jacksonville, some of the decisions he made, the way the team talked before the game as a reflection of him. I think this Bell story now is another tentacle to that and will continue to allow for this story to... It's really interesting to me. Of all the years I've been doing national radio, this Steelers season, the stories that have come out of it have been stories that have expanded outside of our local. The Steelers are a national team, but you know this. You don't usually have a lot of season drama with them.
All right,
we've had a ton of it this year, and I think the national appetite is there to hear the Steelers discussion.
So, folks, you hear him with Ron Cook, 10 o'clock till 2, Monday through Friday, 93.7 The Fan Intercom Communications. And this Sunday, what time again?
11
o'clock, CBS.
AM.
That's right, CBS Sports, coast to coast. Don't miss him. The young talent, the young gun of Andrew Filipponi. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great rest. You're welcome. Good afternoon.